Hey, hello folks. In this video, we are going to write code to have two squares bounce off each other, right? So that's what we talked about in the previous video about the math for this, and now we'll just write that code. But that's what our goal is. We want to write code to achieve this thing. So I'll pull up my processing real quick. We'll just start a new one. Okay, so let's quickly write the code to do this thing. I'll bring it to the screen size so you can see the whole thing. All right, very good. In order to, we are this, we will write a program to show how to bounce off each other, right? So we'll do that. All right, so for the first one, so let's declare some variables. X1, Y1 are the top left corners of the first square, and dx1 is the velocity, right? Here your x1, y1 are the coordinates of the top left corner of the red square. dx1 is the horizontal velocity of the red square of size s. We'll use s as a side length, so we'll do that too. Okay, and similarly we will declare as float x2, y2, and dx2. Same kind of meanings there. Void setup happens only once. Your draw happens all the time, so that's your void draw. So I'll get started with that also. We'll give it a size, canvas size of let's say 400 wide and 200 high. That's the height of that. Let's give our variable some initial value. Let's say my size is equal to 50. My x1, I'm going to start from right to left and they'll go towards each other. x1 0, y1 will get to the middle, so we'll do height divided by 2. That's good enough. And dx1, let's say, is equal to 1. Now for the second one, x2, we will do is width minus the size, so it's not off the screen, and y2 same height, will do that, height divided by 2. dx2 would be equal to, let's say, -1, so it's going to come from the opposite direction, right? So my rect mode is corner, but default is corner, but it is always a good idea to mention it there. We'll do a background of 0, and 0 is black. Let's say 255. I'll do white background there. And on that, now let's get both the rectangles. So my red one, 255, R, G is 0, B is 0. So we'll do a rectangle at x1, y1, x1, y1 of size s and s. That's all good. Then we'll do a green one, fill 0, 255, and 0, and we'll do a rect at x2, y2, s, and s. So we got another rectangle here. Let's see, what do we have so far? Yeah, if I run this code, I'm missing, oh, that's not the period, that's a comma. Okay, so that's what we have so far, right? Almost middle. You see, these are not completely, my rectangles are not in the middle because, I'm doing height. I'm not accommodating for size. So from there, if I minus size divided by 2, that should give me perfectly in the middle. So half of the size I'm also subtracting to get the middle, right? So that's the middle. All right, so that's all good. Now I want to get them moving. I want to get them moving towards each other. So x1, I'm going to give it a velocity. x1 plus equal to dx1, and x2 plus equal to dx2. So I'm adding x and y velocity, right? So now they are coming towards each other. They're now bouncing off. They're not bouncing off the edge either. So let's put those controls in there, right? Let's have them bounce off the edge first. So not if x1 becomes less than 0, that means on the left side it's going off the screen, or if your x1 plus size becomes greater than the height, width, not height. Can't spell width. Okay, so if that happens, what do I want to change? I want to change the direction of its velocity, not the magnitude. I want to keep the same speed, but I want to change the direction. So I'm going to say x1 is equal to x1 times -1. That will change the direction of that. I'm going to do the same exact thing to my other block, right? My green one. In green ones, it's x2, and yeah. I don't want to change x1. I wanted to change the velocity. I'm sorry. This should have been a dx1, d, and this is a dx2, and this is also d. I want to change the direction of velocity, right? So what I want to do is, when either of them hits the wall on either side, it should bounce back, just exactly like that. Next control I'll work about is how do they bounce off each other's edge, and it's going to be magical. Watch what happens there. Now we're going to do if the difference, remember we did the math for that, x2 minus x1, the difference between their x's is less than the side length. That's s for us. We wanted to do absolute value of that is less than s. So if they're that close that they're smaller than the side length of each of the squares, we want to change the direction of their velocities too, right? So we want to do dx1 is equal to dx1 times -1. This could be written like that too. I'll give you one more way of writing that. dx2 times equal to -1. That means the same exact thing as I did above, that dx2 is equal to dx2 times -1. So I've added another control in there that, if they're right there, you see that? As soon as the difference between x1 and x2 becomes smaller than the side length, they bounce back, and that's exactly we want to do that. And they're meeting in the middle because their velocities are same. I'm going to change that. It'll look like a little crazy. They're going to come fast and they're going to bounce off. Good. You wanted to give them random. You could give them random also. I could say, hey, x1 is a random number between 1 and 5. And they'll give you a random number 1 and 5. And here's the dx2 is -1 times random between 1 to 5. So they'll get a random. So I don't even know which one's going to go faster. It's going to be a random one. So, once it's set, it's set. So we're good. And that's what this program was supposed to do. Allow two rectangles to bounce off each other's edge. Hope it made sense. And And we'll be back for the next one. Thank you, folks. Thank you for watching.